Hi class, it's Ms. Humphreys. This is week 8, day 2, and we are still plotting points on a coordinate plane. So today we're going to be multiplying the following using the area model. I have already drawn the boxes that we need to do our problems, to multiply the problems using the area model, and I've also written the steps for some of you who forgot how to do this. Okay, I just had to add another row here because I do have a 3-digit number. We're multiplying a 3-digit number by a 2-digit number, whereas here we were multiplying a 2-digit by a 2-digit number. So now I can decompose the 345 to 300 plus 40. I'll just write it in expanded notation. That's how I'm decomposing it here. 40 plus 5. All right. So this row here is going to be 300. This row is going to be 40, and this row is going to be 5. All right, this column is 30 plus 1. All right, so we have 300 plus 40 plus 5, which is 345, times 30 plus 1. So our length here is 31, and our width is 345. Or vice versa. You could say this is the width and this is the length, because the length is usually the longer size when we're dealing with rectangles. So I'll say that this is the length and this is the width. All right, so now we need to multiply the rows by the columns. So we have 300 times 3. If I use my place value understanding, 3 times 3 is 9, and then I have 3 zeros. So I have 9,000. 40 times 30. 4 times 3 is 12. Then I have those 2 zeros. So that'll be 1,200. And then 5 times 30. 5 times 3 times 10. So that'll be 150. And then we just multiply 300 times 1. 340 times 1 is 40, and 5 times 1 is 5. We just use the identity property to do that. It's like looking in the mirror. Anything times 1 is itself. 40. And we have 5. All right, now we just add all of our parts together. So 150 plus 5 is 155. 1,200 plus 40 is 1,240, or 1,240. And then 9,000 plus 300 is just 9,300. And we're going to add our partial products. So 5, 4 plus 5 is 9. 3 plus 2 is 5, plus 1 is 6. And 9 plus 1 is 10. So our answer is 10,695. All right, let's go to our next fluency problem of the day. I think you guys can handle doing the next 2 on your own. So for the next fluency problem, we need to find the value of each letter on this number line. So in order to do that, we need to find the scale first, and then to find the scale, we just divide the distance by the amount of spaces. So let's just start with this vertical line here. So 4 to 5, that's just 1. The distance is just 1, right? So we divide that by the amount of spaces. The amount of spaces is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the scale here is a tenth. Now, this one is just a little tricky because the starting point here, the origin, is 4 instead of 0. So we have to be reminded that B is not just a tenth. B is 4 and a tenth. And if we were to write 4 and a tenth as a mixed number, we can say that it would be 4 times 10 is 40, plus 1 is 41. So that would be 41 over 10. Right? And we can see clearly that we have 4 wholes and a tenth, because 10 times 4 is 40. So 40 plus 1 is 41. All right, so B is 4 and a tenth. 4 and 1/10. So if B is 4 and 1/10, let's see what C is up here. So we have 4 and 2/10, 4 and 3/10, 4 and 4/10, 4 and 5/10, 4 and 6/10, 4 and 7/10. So C would be 4 and 7 tenths. All right, so if C is 4 and 7/10, and let me just write our answers here. So we have 4 and 1/10. And C is 4 and 7/10. And so A is 8/10, 9/10, 4 and 9/10. Let's just put out 4 and 9/10 here. That is so annoying. All right, so now let's look at this diagonal line here. So how should we find the scale here? We find the scale by first finding the distance. So the distance is between 0 and 1 for this one. So the distance is 1. And how many spaces do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10 spaces. So this line scale is a tenth. So that means the first tick mark is a tenth. And they already marked it for us, a tenth. However, they want us to convert into the fraction into a decimal. So a tenth, this is how it is written as a decimal. So that means D is 2/10. 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6/10 is F. And 7/10, 8/10, 9/10 is E. Because 1 would be 10/10, which is, oh, all right. So let's go ahead and complete our values here at the bottom for each letter. So D is 2/10. F is 6/10. And E is 9/10. All right, let's look at our vertical line here. The distance here is, let's see, well, this one is a little tricky because the letter here doesn't have a value. So we need to figure out what G is first to find our distance. So let's look at the amount of spaces here between 0 and 1 first. So we find the amount of spaces between 0 and 1. If the same amount of spaces is from 1 to G, we know that they're equal, right? So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we know for sure that H is a fifth, because the distance between 0 and 1 is 1, and then there are 5 spaces. So our denominator is 5. So let's see, we have the same amount of spaces from 1 to G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we do. So that means this line here will be 1 and a fifth, right? One and 1/5, 1 and 2/5, 1 and 3/5, 1 and 4/5, 1 and 5/5, which is 2. G is 2. All right, so H is a fifth, and G is 2. And that concludes our fluency lesson for week 8, day 2.